Welcome and hello. This is a video lesson in WRIMS, and in this lesson, we're going to be talking about batch running multiple studies at the same time. So that will include two parts. Really, the first part will be running the batch studies in WRIMS, and then after that, using the Windows interface. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. This is my DSS view I have on the screen, and then here is my WRIMS. Over here in the left panel of WRIMS, my Project Explorer window, I have a number of previous studies that I've been working with, different exercises and lessons. And what we're going to be doing is running a few of these studies all at the same time. And to do that within the WRIMS interface, we're going to go up to Run and then Batch Run. And it opens up this dialog box right here where we get to browse to the launch file for the particular study we want to run, and then click on Add. That's going to add that launch file to a list box right up here in this upper box. And then we're going to click the Start All button. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with a few different studies as an exercise just to demonstrate how it works, as well as talk about some of these other buttons. And then finally, we're going to get to the second part of the lesson where we're going to perform the same action using the Windows interface. So basically performing the same tasks, but outside of WRIMS. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I am going to pick on exercises 6, 7, and 8. So here's exercise 6, exercise 7, and exercise 8. You can check out those videos in the WRIMS exercise playlist if you want to see exactly what's going on. But I'm just going to be running the model and making sure that I have results in the decision variable file for this lesson. Okay, so I closed the window. Let me go back to Run, Batch Run. Here's the batch run directory. I'm going to click on Browse now. All right, here is my project directory for exercise 6, and then here is the launch file. So I'm going to click on the launch file, and then you may need to also click Open, but the path loaded in right down here. So I'm just going to click this Add button, and then it added the name of that launch file up to the top. And if I click Add again, it doesn't add it for me again, so that's a good check. Next, I'm going to add exercise 7 launch file and exercise 8 launch file. These are all different studies, so yours would probably be called something else. Click Browse, navigate up to my exercises, project, and then select the launch file right here. You may need to also click the Open button, but my Windows settings are such that all I have to do is click it. Boom, that launch file path has been loaded, and Add. So now I got two different projects that are queued up, or two different studies that are ready to go. Let's add one more. So one more time, I'll click Browse, go up to my exercises. This is now exercise 8 project, and then here's the launch file and Add. All right, so I've got 3 studies that are queued up, ready to run in this batch run. A few more things I wanted to point out before I actually run it is this sequential button right here allows the user to control whether or not these batch runs are occurring in parallel, which is the default, or if you click this sequential checkbox, it's going to run in series. So one after another after another. I'm going to leave that off so they run in parallel. And then just basic controls here. If you click on delete, it will delete that particular study, and then you can add it back in. Oops. I already have this one selected, and then add. Okay. Another button here is save. So what this is going to do is it's going to save a separate .lfg file with the selected studies and their paths. So what that looks like is if I click on save, it's asking me where I want to save it. I'm just going to put this on my desktop to keep it simple. And then I'll say E6-E8. Launch file group is what the .lfg file extension stands for. So click on save. Okay, so that file popped up right here. And what that looks like is, let me go ahead and open that up. Here it is. It is an absolute path from my computer to those different launch files. So here's the E6 launch file. Here's the E7 launch file and the E8 launch file right there. So we're not going to deal with that right now, but it is kind of nice to have in case you want to run it outside of WRIMS, which we'll be dealing with in the second half of this lesson. Okay, so this last button, Combine DB DSS, we'll take a look at that a little bit later. And then one more thing I want to do is load up the DB files for those 3 different studies. So I have DSS view open here. I'm going to do Control O. This is my project 6, calling them studies though, db.dss. Okay, so this is empty. I'm going to open up decision variable file, but for the other 2 studies now, 7 project dss db.dss. Okay, so that's also empty. And then for the third one, that's exercise 8 project, DSS, and dv.dss. Okay, so along the top here, I have my dv.dss for exercise 6, 7, and 8. These are the 3 studies. View, refresh catalog, no paths. So we're going to go ahead and run the simulation and then confirm that it worked by making sure that we have populated decision variables in our decision variable file. Back to RIMS, we're ready to run. So I'm going to click Start All. And along the bottom, it popped up a number of Windows applications. And then up here, it's telling me the status, if it's completed or done, the percent done. Okay, it looks like everything's done here. So that looks good. Let's go to our DSS view. And then right here, this is the first study, exercise 6. I'm going to go View, Refresh Catalog, and boom, we have results. So let's just confirm that there are actual numbers here. There are. That looks good. Let's check out the other 2 studies. This is exercise 7. Boom, there's some data. And then exercise 8, refresh catalog. There's some data there. All right, very cool. So the last thing I want to do when running RIMS batch files is to use this button here, combine dv dss. So if I make this a little wider, you can see the button says, combine dv.dss. What that does is if I wanted to combine all the results from the studies, all the decision variables into a single DSS file, I can do that. I'm going to go right click, new, and then create a new DSS file just right here on my desktop. So I'll say all studies dv.dss. Okay, so there's that file. I'm going to go ahead and open up this file in DSS view just so we can get a before and after desktop. Here it is, all studies decision variables.dss. There's currently no paths. And let's go ahead and now reference this DSS file. So copy as path. Actually, I think I can just browse to it. I'll go back to RIMS and then click on this combine dv DSS. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's just asking me to navigate to the file. There it is. It's on my desktop, all studies dv.dss, and click on start all. Okay, again, it's running. The first 2 studies finished right away. The second one's taking a little bit longer, 50% done, 100% done. Let's check that all studies dv file now, view and refresh catalog. Okay, sometimes it makes me say it twice. So view, refresh catalog. Okay, not sure why it does that. But now we have decision variables for all 3 of the studies in the same DSS file. If you don't want to do that, you can turn the button off. Oh, combine. Okay, it looks like it turned off automatically. Oh, stop combining. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, you might see a button here that says stop combining. Okay, it looks like it's stuck on stop combining. Let me just go ahead and close this and then run, batch run. Okay, so that refreshed it right there. I guess that's another way to clear the list box as well. All right, so for the second part of this exercise, what I want to do is run the batch files not using RIMS, but using the Windows tool. If you navigate to where on your computer you have your RIMS installed, or I should say the RIMS file, I have it saved in my RIMS directory right here, and then it's in RIMS GUI 60x64 2.2.0, and then the top folder for me is batch run. Go ahead and click on batch run. Now my instructions here are for Windows users. I'm running on Windows operating system 11. I think it probably works on 10 and probably others as well. Other operating systems, I can't speak to that, but it's probably a similar process. What we're going to be doing here is listing out the file paths to the launch file for all the studies we want to run, one line at a time, and put that into this text file, launch file group.lfg. And then after that, we're going to execute this parallel batch run.bat file or sequential bat run.bat file. So as you may assume, the name of the bat run file here is associated with whether or not it's going to be parallel or in series. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to first open up this launch file group file, and here it is on the screen. By default, it looks like someone else's default studies are saved here, so I'm just going to delete all that. And then what I want to do is paste in the actual paths to my launch files for those same 3 studies, exercise 6, exercise 7, and exercise 8. Okay, I've navigated on my computer to exercise 6. This is the launch file right here, E6 reservoir guide curve.launch. I'm going to go right click, copy as path, and then come back here to my LFG file and then just paste that in right there. It probably doesn't like these quotation marks, and then that's good. So then enter to give me a new line break to enter the new launch file. So the next one up will be for exercise 7. Here's exercise 7. project, and then here is the launch file. Right click, copy as path, go back here and I'll paste that in, remove the double quotes. Okay. And then the last study is going to be exercise 8. So that's water supply reliability projects. And then here's the launch file, copy as path. Let's minimize that and paste, remove the double quotes. And as you may have recognized, this is the same file that was exported earlier when we were in RIMS and we said to export, or when we went to run batch options. We loaded up our launch files right here, and then we clicked on the save button. That created this file right here, E6-E8. So let me open that up. Yeah, this is the file right here. So E6-E8 basically did the same thing that we just did manually. It looks like the base sensitivity was not preserved though. So let's go ahead and run this one here. But I think this is a shortcut, a quicker way to generate what we did manually by copying the individual paths of the launch file and then saving it to this .lfg file. Okay, so I'll click save there. And now, as I mentioned, I'm going to come back to this file here. I'm in the batch run directory here. And then here's the file I just saved with the 3 paths. And then we can click on either parallel or sequential. Now, before we run, I want to delete out the existing data in my 3 different DSS files. That way I can know if, for sure if it ran or not. So I'm just going to delete, then view, refresh catalog, empty, and then for the last study, exercise 8, delete, okay, and then refresh and empty. Okay, that looks good. Now we can go ahead and run. So let's go with sequential. Okay, so something happened. Let's see. I'm not sure. I only saw one window pop up. I click on, let's go ahead and check study for exercise 6, view, refresh catalog. Okay, one more time. Refresh catalog. Okay, that's not a good sign. Okay, so something didn't work, and to be honest, I wasn't able to get it working when preparing this, but that's what the tutorial video that I watched showed me what to do. So I don't fully understand why that's not working. That could be just some sort of setting on my computer. But anyway, if I'm running batch files, I'm most likely going to do so using the run batch run interface right here within RIMS. Now, why you may want to be running batch files at all instead of just the files individually. Well, maybe you have a ton of files and you don't want to have to individually click, click, click. You can save that .lfg file and then you can run it and then you can take off or work on something else and then come back once the results are ready. What I do think they need in this interface is a load button so you can load an existing .lfg file and it populates. I don't think that's asking for too much. And yeah, that's it for this lesson. We talked about running a parallel batch run and a sequential batch run in RIMS, both in the RIMS interface and then also externally in Windows.